Kentucky Kingdom gains their 6th roller coaster with the Kentucky Flyer. This is a Gravity Group family coaster in the likes of Oscar's Wacky Taxi, Wooden Warrior, and Rorosaurus. And if you have ridden any of those three, then you know that these are fantastic rides. I've ridden 2 of the 3 in America, and this one has better stats than all of them. We're looking at length of 1,280 feet, drop of 45 feet, speed of 35 miles per hour, an angle of descent of 52 degrees, 12 airtime moments, and maximum banking angle of 54 degrees. For those of you wondering where in the park this is going, the entrance is going to be over by Starcatcher. I realize because of the animation release with there's nothing else around the ride, some people were a little confused of its location. So you're going to enter over by Starcatcher. It's going to bank a little bit to the right. It's actually going to wrap around one of their slide complexes back behind the second wave pool. It's going to form a nice backdrop for part of the water park. So now if you are in Hurricane Bay, you'll be able to look to the right and see Thunder Run, look directly ahead and see T3, and then look to your left and see the Kentucky Flyer. So it really gives a nice roller coaster landscape when you are positioned in the water park. They're really trying to go for that Coney Island beach type feel with the rides on all sides of you. Currently, the land where Kentucky Flyer is going is only occupied by a big berm back there. There aren't actually any rides or attractions, and because it's an out and back layout, it's going to take up a relatively small footprint, so they aren't taking anything out to put in this ride. And I know some are a little disappointed by the size, but here's the thing. The last 2 coasters that they built were Lightning Run and Storm Chaser, thrill rides, geared towards the enthusiasts. Of their 5, they do not have a good in-between coaster. Roller Skater is essentially their kiddie coaster. The next smallest one is, I guess, Thunder Run, and that's not a family coaster. That's a thrill coaster. This is going to be a perfect fit because you have to remember, Kentucky Kingdom used to have 2 wooden roller coasters. Technically 3. Twisted Twins was 2 separate dueling CCI coasters, and they arm-seated into one forming Storm Chaser. So now Thunder Run is the only wooden coaster, so they are bring back 2 wooden coasters to the park. That's why this is a smart move. It fills an obvious gap in their lineup and is going to bring a great ride. Anyone who's ridden one of these gravity groups, they know these small airtime hills. It is nice ejector, great for families, great for enthusiasts. This is a crowd pleaser. And we know Kentucky Kingdom loves their ejector airtime, so now you're getting 3 for 3. I would not be surprised if most enthusiasts like this more than Thunder Run and T3, even though this one is going to be smaller than both of them. Do not let the size deceive you. If you're disappointed by this attraction, you haven't ridden one of these smaller gravity groups, don't be. Do not worry. Not every edition a park is going to get is going to be a 200-foot B&M or something like that. You have to have something for everyone, and that's why this is a perfect fit, because think about it. As a 40-inch height requirement. That means that you'll be able to bring your kids on this. It'll be a nice stepping stone ride, and it's the smallest wooden coaster in the area. I mean, you have Holiday World down the road that has some huge wooden roller coasters, and none of them have a height requirement at 40 inches. You have Kings Island, they have Woodstock Express, which is a smaller wooden coaster, but it's relatively tame. This is going to be a step up from Woodstock Express, because we as enthusiasts tend to not really gravitate towards riding Woodstock Express, if you know what I mean. Kentucky Flyer will be one of those coasters that people will ride every time they go to Kentucky Kingdom. So let's kind of get into the layout a bit. Now, we don't have much here. They show just a brief pan over of the layout. We don't have a point of view video. I was told we may be seeing a point of view video released at some point, or maybe not. And I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing if we don't see one. Sometimes point of view videos are very deceiving, especially with a ride like this. It's really hard to kind of gauge what to expect. I remember looking at the Oscar's Wacky Taxi point of view video and being like, yeah, okay, it looks alright. And then I got off that thing and I was like, that was freaking sweet. So I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, but just kind of looking over this, you're going to go up the lift hill, turn a little bit to the right, go into that drop. You're actually going to go not directly into an airtime hill. It's more of kind of this switch banking to the left. That may be where your steepest bank turn is, either that or at the back turnaround for the ride. It's kind of tough to say, but they do say 12 airtime moments. And if you kind of look through, there does look to be about 12 moments of airtime. So I'm not doubting them on that at all. We will be seeing Timberliner trains on these. That allows it to articulate more, and so you can make sharper banks. At one point during Kentucky Flyer, there'll be a turn within a 9-foot radius, which is very tight. so that's very impressive. The ride does tend to have more of an out and back layout, so that's probably more similar to Wooden Warrior as opposed to Wacky Taxi, which is a little bit more compact. This kind of stretches out more at some points. It's crossing in and under itself. I don't think it'll be a particularly long ride, but I think that's fine. I mean, it'll be very re-rideable. And speaking of Timberliners, notice that they did not show us the trains for these. That was definitely intentional because I think we could be seeing some very cool trains here. Think of some Timberliner trains like Oscar's Wacky Taxi, how cool that train is. Or Switchback at ZUT's, that train is so sweet. So I think they're purposely not showing us the Kentucky Flyer train because they're waiting for a bit more grand reveal. I know a lot of those big train reveals are done at IAAPA, so we can probably expect that in November. But notice because they are going for that fighter pilot plane type theme, you could do something really cool with the front of that train. We'll see if there actually ends up being any theming in the queue or in the station. Again, Kentucky Kingdom is not a theme park, so they would rather spend their money on rides instead of going towards theming. So I wouldn't be surprised if there really isn't much, but as long as it's presented nice and looks good, I think that's fine and you can get away with it. What amazes me though about the animation is how some people are focused so much on the fact that they use Planet Coaster that they aren't even focusing on the actual ride. Like honestly, who cares what simulation software they used for it? It shows the layout, it serves a purpose, who cares? I've seen so many comments where the only thing people are talking about is that they use Planet Coaster and they aren't talking about the actual ride, and I think that blows my mind. That they're spending millions of dollars on a coaster and all they're talking about is 3 seconds of the animation. It doesn't matter what software they're using, as long as the ride layout is good and it's a good experience, which it will be, it's Gravity Group, then I honestly couldn't care less. So to just kind of wrap it up, I think that this is a great fit for the park. It's exactly what they needed. It's not a huge thrill coaster, but then again, the last huge thrill coaster was only 3 years ago. So they're going a bit smaller for this one, and that's fine. I think it's a great indicator of the park's success after it reopened, and if Kentucky Flyer performs well, then we'll probably be seeing another thrill coaster in another few years. So I wouldn't worry. I mean, it's way better than a lot of other predictions. I know some people were thinking it was going to be something smaller, more along the lines of like an Air Race or Sky Roller. A lot of people thought it was going to be Firehawk for some stupid reason, which would honestly be like the dumbest thing ever. Not a lot of people were expecting a Gravity Group. When they saw the word Flyer, they didn't think Wooden Coaster. So it's a nice kind of change of pace. And I honestly can't even think of any other wooden coasters being built in 2019. This might be the only one. I think it's the only Woody coming to America next year. So that's great. I'm really happy for Gravity Group in Kentucky Kingdom. I think it's great, especially when you don't have any major additions going to Kings Island or Holiday World next year. So I think Kentucky Kingdom will be one of the places to be next year. So that concludes my analysis for Kentucky Flyer going to Kentucky Kingdom next year. Expected to be ready for opening day. That's what they're shooting for. I know I can't wait to ride it. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of it. And of course, stay tuned for more analyses here at Coaster Studios, and we'll catch you guys later.